Relationships aren't rented, Ryan. They're earned. That's what I said, looking him dead in the eyes years ago. And hell, I meant every word. I remember his smirk, the way his eyes softened, like someone had finally taken the blinders off. But back then, none of that had happened yet. Back then, I was nothing but a girl in over her head, standing at the edge of a world that didn't even know how to treat me as human. I'm Fiona Hayes, now old enough to have my hands full of wrinkles and my hair kissed silver by time. But once upon a time, I was just a girl with a middle-class paycheck, a little brother who needed surgery, and a soul too stubborn to quit, even when life shoved me into impossible corners. It all started with Ryan Carter. Rich, handsome, untouchable Ryan Carter. Their family? Pure power, money, and rules written to crush anyone who didn't fit their image. And me? I didn't fit. Not a chance. The day he showed up at my door, I knew my life was about to get messy. He didn't knock politely. He didn't smile. He leaned against the frame, eyes sharp, voice low, but filled with a weird mix of pain and defiance. 6 months. Be my girlfriend. Fake it. Just 6 months. And I swear, after that, nothing matters. I laughed. Not out loud. Not at him, but at the sheer audacity of the idea. Him, the golden boy, asking me to pretend? But beneath my laughter, my chest tightened. I needed money. My little brother's operation wasn't going to pay for itself. Life, it seems, has a funny way of forcing you to pick the hard road, even when your heart wants to walk barefoot. So I said yes, and that yes changed everything. Stepping into the Carter mansion for the first time, I knew I'd entered a war zone. They didn't welcome me, they tested me. One day I was the girl who served tea. The next, I was the one washing laundry while Ryan's father smirked in some untouchable superiority, like he could erase me with a single glance. And Ryan? He was right there, always near, like a calm in a hurricane. He didn't lecture me, didn't try to change me. He just understood that every laugh I forced, every step I pretended to take, was survival. 6 months of pretending, 6 months of holding my truth behind a carefully crafted mask. But every mask eventually cracks, right? And mine? Oh, it was about to shatter. Because the Carter family didn't know the kind of woman they were playing with. They didn't know that beneath my middle-class disguise, I'd walked into courts where dictators trembled. They didn't know that the girl they thought they could break was quietly collecting evidence that could bring the entire family empire to its knees. And the scariest part? Ryan didn't know it yet either. I remember standing in my little apartment that first night, staring at the ceiling, whispering to myself, how the hell did I get here? But life had a plan, and it was already in motion. Next week, I'd meet Ryan's father, and that meeting would change everything. They think I'm just a girl in their game, but I'm about to pull a move no one sees coming. I remember the first dinner at the Carter mansion like it was yesterday. Crystal glasses, silver cutlery, and enough money in that room to make my head spin. And there I was, the hired girlfriend, pretending to sip wine I hated, smiling when I wanted to scream, listening to a family who had already decided I wasn't good enough. Ryan's dad, the so-called patriarch, leaned back, eyes cold and calculating. He didn't say much, but the way he glanced at me was like I was a stain on his perfect linen. And honestly, I could feel every ounce of that judgment, every subtle dig. You don't belong here, their looks screamed. And yeah, they were right. I didn't belong. They tried everything, small humiliations, sharp remarks, even throwing me into situations I wasn't trained for. Go help in the kitchen, his mother would chirp, smirking like I'd just committed a crime. We can't have our son wasting his time with someone so ordinary. Ordinary? Funny word, isn't it? I'd spent years fighting for the extraordinary, battling dictators, defending the defenseless, and yet here I was, reduced to ordinary. But I kept my mouth shut. I smiled. I learned to move like water, flowing around their cruelty without breaking. And Ryan? He noticed, of course, but he didn't rescue me.
He didn't need to. He just stayed. That quiet presence next to me was a lifeline, even if I didn't know it yet. The thing is, pretending to be someone you're not is exhausting. Every word you speak, every laugh you force, every glance you dodge, it weighs on you. But what's heavier is the secret you carry, the one I had tucked deep inside. I was gathering proof that could topple empires. And that empire? It was the Carter family. I didn't want Ryan to know. I couldn't risk it. He was family now, or at least he thought he was just my lover. But if he knew what I was really doing, he'd fall apart, and I couldn't have him fall apart, not when he had no idea how dark the truth ran in his own bloodline. Every night, I'd sneak into my tiny apartment, spread documents across the table, and whisper into the silence. One mistake and everything crashes, but I have to see this through. And then came the first major test. Ryan's father cornered me in the library, a glass of whiskey in hand, his gaze sharper than any courtroom judge I'd faced. "You think you belong here?" he asked, voice smooth but threatening. I smiled, a simple tilt of my lips, because I had to, because fear would ruin everything. "You're right," I said softly. "I don't, but I'm here for him, and I'll do whatever it takes to protect what matters." Ryan, standing behind him, shot me a look I couldn't read. Was it admiration? Fear? Something else? Whatever it was, I knew our lives had just entered a war zone I wasn't sure we'd survive. 6 months of pretending, of playing the part, were only beginning, and every day the stakes got higher. Every glance, every whisper, every dinner felt like walking a tightrope over a pit I couldn't see the bottom of. I kept asking myself, "Fiona, how far are you willing to go before the truth comes out?" Because the truth, the real truth, was a bomb ticking, and it wasn't waiting for anyone to be ready. They think I'm weak, they think I'm scared, but one move, one secret revealed, and everything they believe will burn.
I remember the night it all almost fell apart. The mansion was quiet, too quiet, like it was holding its breath. I had documents tucked under my coat, proofs, photos, bank transfers, anything that could finally expose the truth about the Carter Empire. And the kicker? The truth was uglier than I imagined. Ryan's father? He wasn't just a jerk with too much money. He was a criminal, deep in illegal deals that could ruin lives, and I had the evidence. But getting it to the right people without being caught, that was the hard part. One wrong move, and it wouldn't just be my career at risk. It would be Ryan too, and God knows I wasn't ready to destroy him. I tiptoed through the mansion like a shadow, trying to stay invisible while holding the weight of years of investigation in my hands. My heart was racing. Every step sounded louder than it had any right to be. And then I heard it. A door creak. Ryan's voice. "You shouldn't be out here," he whispered. I froze. Not because I was scared, well, maybe a little, but because I realized something. He wasn't judging me. He wasn't angry. He was protective. My chest warmed in a way I didn't expect. He stepped closer, hand hovering near mine. "Fiona, talk to me," he said, voice low, almost breaking. And I wanted to. I wanted to spill everything, the secret investigation, the lies I'd lived, the danger I'd faced every single day. But I couldn't. Not yet. Not until the truth hit the right moment. "Not yet," I murmured. "It's not safe." He nodded slowly, like he understood more than he let on. And in that moment, I realized something else. He wasn't just a golden boy trapped in a perfect family. He was my partner, whether he knew it or not. And maybe he had been protecting me all along in ways I didn't see. But the Carter family didn't wait for us to be ready. Ryan's father called a family meeting the very next evening. Everyone gathered, smug and arrogant, thinking they held all the cards. I walked in with my head high, smiling through the tension, hiding every ounce of fear and determination. And then Ryan spoke. Not at me, not even fully yet, but at them.
"She's not who you think she is," he said. The room froze. My heart skipped. My mask still on, but Ryan's words had already started the dominoes. Eyes widened, jaws dropped, whispers ricocheting around the chandelier-lit dining room. They had no idea what was coming. I felt a strange thrill, not just fear, thrill, because for the first time, I realized they weren't in control anymore. I had the upper hand. Every day of pretending, every forced smile, every insult endured, they had no idea the storm they'd just awakened. Ryan glanced at me then, just a quick flicker, and I knew he trusted me. That trust, that was the thing that kept me grounded. But the real test, that was coming. Because this wasn't just about me anymore. It was about exposing the man who'd controlled their empire, protected his secrets, and hurt countless people along the way. And the second they realized the truth, nothing would be the same. They think this is just a game, but once the truth hits the table, someone's life is about to change forever. I remember standing in that massive dining room, crystal chandeliers casting shadows that seemed darker than the truth I was about to reveal. Ryan was beside me, calm but tense, like he'd been holding his breath for this exact moment. And I felt a rush I hadn't felt in years. The kind of fear and thrill that comes when everything you've worked for, everything you've survived, comes to a head. The family was already on edge. They sensed something had shifted, but none of them had a clue how badly. Ryan's dad, smug as ever, leaned back like he owned the room. That's when I decided it was time. "You judge people by status," I said, voice steady, scanning every familiar face. "But character, that's the only thing that makes a human." A hush fell over the room. My mask had been holding for 6 months, but now it shattered like glass. I took a breath, dropped the pretense, and let them see me. I'm Fiona Hayes, international human rights lawyer, and yes, I've been investigating this family for months. You could hear the collective gasp. My words weren't just shock, they were thunder. Their empire, their power, everything they thought untouchable, suddenly felt fragile. Ryan's father's face turned pale, like a man realizing he had walked blindfolded into a courtroom. Ryan, always steady, stepped forward. "Dad, I stand for the law, not blood." It hit the room like a hammer. Whispers, gasps, and stunned silence all mixed together. The man who had tried to control everyone's lives, the one who had humiliated me countless times, he had no answers, no control. And for the first time, I saw Ryan fully as the man he'd always been, brave, honest, and fiercely loyal. I looked at him and our eyes locked. "Thank you," he said softly, almost a whisper, "for choosing truth over me." I laughed, not bitter, not scared, just pure, relieved laughter. Truth is never late, Ryan, but it always comes. The final moments were cinematic. Ryan turned to the family, bold, unwavering. "She's not just a girl in our lives. She's the one who taught us what honesty, courage, and love really look like." The tension broke. And then the man who had tried to crush me, to define me by money and status, slumped back, defeated, powerless. It was beautiful, not for cruelty, but for the justice we'd both fought for. Later, after the storm passed, Ryan asked quietly, 6 months weren't enough. Can I have a lifetime?" I smiled, the kind of smile that comes from surviving, from learning, from truly knowing love. Relationships aren't rented, Ryan, they're earned. And they were. Every sacrifice, every act of courage, every tear, every laugh, it all led to this moment. Now, decades later, I sit on my porch, the sun warming my hands, sipping coffee as the steam curls into the afternoon light, and I think about that girl I used to be, the girl pretending, surviving, fighting, and I smile, because the truth, the real truth, and love, they always win. Because at the end of the day, it's not money, it's not bloodlines, it's courage, honesty, and heart that makes someone truly human.
Some games are bigger than love, but love, truth, and courage, that always wins in the end.